Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions for every UFC event. With your hosts, TV Scouting MMA and
The Guru, back again from Newark, New Jersey, the Rock, the Prudential Center. We've got a double bantamweight championships up for grab. We've got Merab Dvalishvili defending his bantamweight title versus Sugar Sean O'Malley in the rematch. And you've got Kayla Harrison taking on Juliana Pena to try. Honestly, I'm predicting the future, right? She's going to win, and they're going to make Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. This show's getting off the rails. Before we can get to it, I'm all over the place. Before we can get to it, guys, we have a very, very special guest in the building. Somebody that I hold near and dear to my heart, a true friend. You got to make sure you're checking out his contributions over on Home of Fight. He's now the new host of Dog or Pass podcast, formerly Protect Your Neck podcast. Dan motherfucking Tom in the building, short notice, made weight, true professional. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, well, when you have the Dan name, as Dan Ige knows, you have to be able to go short notice. And did we just jinx Kayla Harrison? Last time I heard a podcast be this confident. I say this because it's apropos. It recently had its anniversary. Another friendly podcast, the MMA Analysis guys. They opened with like a funeral song before UFC 199 for Michael Bisping playing his funeral music.
That's awesome.
And we know what happened there. So did we just recreate it here? We're going to have to see, folks. We're going to have to see where we side. But I just wanted to touch that note as you said that, Greg, at the top.
Appreciate that.
Baby. Yeah, because we're coming to you live. Woke up this morning. We're headed down UFC 316 in Newark at the Rock, the Prudential Center. Catch us there. The Guru, TB, associated friends and family. I don't know. Whoever the Chronic Combat family, you guys better be making it. We want to see you there. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Lou, yeah, first of all, shout out to Dan Tom. Much deserved. Like, this guy's
shout out to Miller Lite.
Thank you, Lou.
Shout out. Hell yeah. Now, I mean, always love the Dog or Pass podcast. Love it even more now. Hell yeah, we go top to bottom. Thank you, Rem Dog, for making it on time. We appreciate you making it. Grateful, dude. We are grateful for you. Daz, always in the building. Got 40 units out. Oh, baby, I feel like you're going to have even more out by the time the fights start. Forrest, always appreciate you jumping in the building, hanging out. And yeah, I mean, this is what we do, man. We get the best bets, the best guests, always free picks. And yeah, legends, bro. This is what we do out here. So if you guys haven't done the right thing, please throw a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I don't know what you're waiting for, but this is the moment. So let's get that countdown to 1,000 subscribers. We're still a bit away, but at the end of the day, let's get us there, guys. What's holding you back? It costs you nothing. We're a fun time, and we're ready to bring these fights to you because, man, I'm jazzed up. We're going to be there in person. You know we're going to be live betting. You know we're going to be yelling in the crowd. So let's get into it. We've got Merab, the Machine, Dvalishvili versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. We got minus 285 for the Machine, plus 230 for the Sugar Show. And man, this is quite the shift in expectations from the last matchup. I remember we were the CLV Kings holding on to those Sean O'Malley plus 100 tickets as it quickly went to minus money. And there we were on Fight Night with Merab running through, showing why he's the Machine. And Sugar not really showing why he made it to the top. Not at all. Turns out fighting on a bum hip, goes for surgery, but it's just an uninspired performance all around. There's that little magical moment in the 5th round where, hey, maybe we're taking notes for next time, right? And has anybody ever gotten a chance to fight Merab a second time? The answer is no. I'm extremely interested to see, like, hey, this is something that you can't plan for until you've felt it, until you've been there across from it. And even if you weren't your best self in that matchup, maybe it taught you a little bit of something about what you need to do to get back the next time you come into this matchup. We've seen changes in the camp, just in the mindset, really.
He's not jacking the peen.
Not jacking the peen. But at the end of the day, I mean, it doesn't change the fact that Merab is going to be coming forward. He's going to be shooting takedowns. and it's going to be up to Sean O'Malley to keep Merab from jacking his peen.
Please, for the love of God, do not let Herb Dean ref this fight.
Yeah,
what
please.
the fuck happened that first fight? That might have been some of the craziest refereeing I've ever seen. He says go, and he says go, and then he says stop, and then he's yelling at everybody.
Merab's kissing him. DC keeps yelling that Merab's about to come throughout the whole broadcast. It was a really sexual fight, guys. If you really go back and
heavily sexually intense.
Charged.
But are the lights going to be too bright for Sean O'Malley in The Rock? I'm just curious. You know what I mean?
So, well, you guys we kicked off with The Sopranos, right? And it's funny because I always go with the HBO series The Wire as far as Sean O'Malley because he looks like Ziggy Sabatka, right? And especially now because he's coming without the hair dye. However, man, with you guys mentioned it with the lack of the weed or this or that. Even though the lack of the weed's opposite from this analogy, but it reminds me of like Chris Maltasanti, bringing it back to Newark here. Like he's like season 3 Maltasanti, he needs the intervention, where they all got to come around, give the intervention. He's like, I don't know, Tone. This Merab, Tone. You don't stop, Tone. He's got the neck brace. Like, you guys getting the vibes from Maltasanti, vibes from O'Malley?
I'll take you down to Newark. I'll tell you that. Yeah, man, that's. I'm interested. He's either like a hostage of himself right now and he's just not there anymore, or he's locked in. And we're going to find out Saturday night. I will say, though, at this line, I don't see why I wouldn't take at least a little bit of a chance. Merab, he does have close margins on some of these victories and even some of these rounds. He's known to just get after it and come back. But, I'm really curious to see, do we get the best sugar in this matchup? And at the current price, I feel like I have to, take a little taste at least to find out. Guru, what
I bet you want to taste. Oh, I bet you do, you dirty boy.
Woo!
You know where I'm coming. It's gotta be all over Sugar Sean O'Malley because listen, if we're gonna place a bet on him at plus 100, and now he's fixed his hip, by principle, I have to take him plus 230. I have no choice. And by the way, I actually don't have to take him plus 230. I bet him plus 270.
Wow, that's hot.
So you know what I'm saying? Like I don't need that. That being said, Sean O'Malley by KO at plus 440 absolutely has to be sprinkled on because when we watch the tape, Merab, yes, has been absolutely incredible. There has been probably nobody more dominant in MMA, in a while here since, his run has been incredible. Nobody's beaten more champions, right? He's just, and Umar Nurmagomedov, huge favorite. He runs him at the gym.
Damn, Guru's been watching a lot of basketball.
It was really very impressive. Go Knicks, baby. I just like my chances there at plus 230 and by KO at plus 440. It's a value play. I do think that at the end of the day, Merab's margins to win are fairly just limited. It's control. And again, if his hip is actually good, maybe he gets up even more often.
Hey guys, did TV try to pull a fast one on us? I don't know if that's I don't know if that's Sean O'Malley in the picture. Is that it looks more like the Sean O'Malley imposter in that picture than it does the actual Sean O'Malley, does it not?
It does. I don't know what's happening there. His eyes look so sad.
Yeah, he looks like the porn star Sean O'Malley that Merab uses for his video. Yeah. Sorry to track there. But no, playing off Guru's point though, if I may, that I'm spoiler alert, I'm picking Merab Dvalishvili here, but I always say this, right? And this perhaps keeps me trepidatious, although I did put a little more than perhaps last time you guys saw me on my show since on Merab, but not a lot. And which doesn't make sense because you're like, well, we've seen the matchup. We saw it not too long ago. When you talk about fighters, who will fight for your money regardless of condition, Merab is that guy. He checks all these boxes, right? To where like he should be not only a pick, but maybe a play, maybe even a confident play if we're looking just strictly on paper for like your basic check boxes, right? Who's going to win? Who's going to go in there? Who's going to fight for your dollar? However, seldom do rematches go the same way in MMA, right? And the matchmakers are asking for this one to go the same way with the laziness and the quickness that they're putting this together, especially with, the lack of what we've seen from the O'Malley side. But That alone, and I will say, albeit not the same case as like a Bilal Leon, which I thought had a stronger contrarian case. Although again, scored it for Bilal live, and since obviously scored it for Merab since, and then obviously, but it was a bit of a closer fight than some people look. As far as round 3 and 5 go to O'Malley, it's a 1-round fight, and that swing round, if you will, is that really weird first round that we opened up like talking about with all the kissing and the warnings and the Tim Welsh getting the warning. Like, it was a really weird round to even like judge because there's just so many breaks and kisses and weird stuff going on. And
I mean, I good watching it.
And I was about to say, I don't know, maybe there should be more kissing in MMA.
It's a really, I mean, it's already gay,
nice.
right? It's a really gay sport already. Might as well. I mean, geez. Let's be honest, but yeah, I really don't hate like people taking shots on O'Malley for these reasons, because something that I called for in my breakdown before it pre-flop was that body work, the off the jabs, the crosses and kicks, front teeps alike, going to be good for O'Malley, and certainly it was. So like, dude, if a dumbass like me can spot that, and say what you will about Tim Welsh, say what you will about O'Malley, how do they not spot those weaknesses, right? Going in. And if you are feeling bullish, at least enough on O'Malley to take a shot by KO, like Guru was talking about, I'm curious if you guys have access to it or see what the current number is. I'm also curious of like what the number of fight ends by KO is as well, because even though it's not a lot of equity, so to speak, you do get some equity as far as like Merab is the official pick by decision
290
and last time. But like, you also got to think that O'Malley, and I didn't say this on my last show or on my Dogger Pass show this week, but I've said it all the time from like previous shows, even on the Dogger Pass podcast and definitely on Protect Your Neck podcast, where guys dating back from the fight for the troops, like very first shows, Corey Hill snapping his shin before Anderson Silva, right? To Brandon Royval's shoulder, to Sean O'Malley himself being multiple subsequent examples, or gas tanks like the Andre Oles. What are the common threads of all these 3 or 4 weight classes I just mentioned? They are all tall and lanky fighters who kill themselves to get to the lower weight classes. And when they all enter their 30s, all those things that they were already volatile, more volatile than other fighters before, expedited up, and they were either forced out of the sport, forced up divisions, and or both. And I'm not trying to be that dramatic toward the end for O'Malley. He's still technically in his prime, but the guy could be winning or losing and fall apart. So even if you're like a big Merab fan and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to play the over in case O'Malley gets it on the scorecards. Like, I'm scared of the totals here too, because of that reason. Like, O'Malley, whether he's winning or losing, like his body could just fall apart, right? So if you're feeling bullish on the O'Malley KO, maybe also look for a little bit of fight ends by KO. Why not?
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Plus 190 on the fight ends by KO. I mean, plus 290 on the fight ends by KO. Plus 195, just the fight doesn't go to distance in general.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting angle. I mean, I expected if there would be a finish, it's on the O'Malley side, but if he is the guy that's not locked in for this matchup, there's no saying what could happen as the pace and the pressure puts on and he realizes he has no chance. But yeah, I mean, got to take the dog shot here. That's where I'll play. And I think I just think that there's going to be something in the air. Maybe it'll be that reefer, you know, it's legalized in Jersey. So O'Malley might get that fresh whiff after all this time.
I mean, we're going to be in the arena, right? So
it could kick in the superpowers, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it's going to be, I mean, I respect Merab like crazy. So it's so weird seeing him on the way up, be an underdog so many times. And minus 285. I know it's a recency bias type of line, but we'll see in retrospect if it ends up being correct. Forrest, I've said it once, I'll say it again. Guru looks like a handsome version of Ari Schaefer. I'm not sure, but handsome, we'll take it.
I'll take that. I mean, Ari Shafir is like a very like ugly individual, but Ari
Shafir looks like what the Nazis put out on their propaganda poster, on their propaganda pamphlets. Like, he looks like some like a cover of Dersh Vermeer or some shit.
My nose is not it's not small by any means, but it is not that big. It's just not. It's sure. Is it larger than a typical nose? Listen, I got a lot of things that are larger than typical, but
buddy.
Oh no!
It's nothing crazy. Like, nobody needs a nose job over here.
God.
Kayla Harrison could use a nose job. Like, with all, like, she would look a lot better.
All right. That being said, we've got Juliana, the Venezuelan Vixen
my God.
Pena, versus
Kayla.
Kayla Hercules Harrison. Or is it
Smash.
Hulk Smash? Yeah. Thank you, Dan Tom.
Smash. Sorry, it's terrible.
Maybe he's larger than
Terrible.
life. Is he Backstreet Boys? Let's see. Yeah, Kayla Harrison minus 750. Juliana Pena plus 525. Is that Kamaru Usman's arm? No, okay. I think it's Juliana Pena's. We're good. But yeah, in this matchup, it really just comes down to like you look at the physiques, and I don't see how Pena gets up from bottom successfully. And she has absolutely abysmal takedown defense. Juliana Spicy Jalapeno. That's actually pretty good.
That's really good. Shout out Rem
really
Dog.
good,
Nice
Rem Dog.
Dog.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
Thank
Very
you
nice.
very much. Yeah, plus 525. You're probably going to get plus 1,000 or better about 2.5 minutes into the fight. So if you are playing the dog here and you have access to live betting, I don't understand why you would do anything pre-flop. I don't know what would possibly ever make you think Pena's doing anything to success in the first 2 rounds. Quite frankly. Things oh God, come on. Yeah, buddy. What's up, Jew? Yeah, so ultimately in this matchup here, I think Kayla is gonna be able to do whatever she wants. And at the press conference today, Pena's like, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna sit on top of me for 25 minutes? That's the only thing you can do. And Harrison's like
that made
you've been
no
finished
sense
3 times. So I'm sorry, Juliana. Like whether it's by hook or by crook, you're losing the fight, and that's why it's minus 750. I just can't determine exactly if it's going to be like some crazy submission. Will there be a ground and pound aspect? I don't envision a knockout on the feet like Kayla. I just don't. And Pena, she's not a good striker either. She'll keep coming forward. She's going to keep fighting. So if we're in rounds 3, 4, 5, and Kayla Harrison looks compromised, at that point you should have already smashed the plus 2,000 live bet odds as Kayla is doing Hulk smash in the first couple of rounds. That's really the only time you should ever have money on Pena is if you have early Kayla props and they're not hitting. I don't know. Do you think this fight goes the distance? Is there anything that like over 4.5 is plus 145? Like the fight to go the distance in a women's bantamweight fight is plus money. Is there value there, Guru? Is that catching your eye? Like what do we need to do here?
That actually is very interesting to me.
I'm just curious. I mean, but there are a lot of finishes in this division.
That's fair. And
Kayla wants finish.
I haven't honestly. If I'm just going to be honest with everybody, I really just haven't considered this fight very much because I do consider it quite untouchable in a lot of ways from a betting perspective. But in that regard, I haven't even really considered how I can think the fight's going to play out. So,
don't lie, Guru. You're just telling us you touched before the show, bro.
Wow.
You know,
wow.
the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah,
a man's got to make a story.
Yeah.
Right, man. That's right.
Yeah.
Dan, you got anything? Got anything significant here?
Dan, maybe you can jiggle my marbles here a little bit and get something going.
I got a love for all different types of ladies, but I can't say I've been with one to quite compare to Harrison. But that's not what we're talking about, are we? I'll give you, although I will give you guys a hypothetical at the end of this breakdown. As far as this fight goes, yeah, I don't blame anybody for doing the dogger, the old CF dot model as far as like taking the dog here at a big money in a WMMA fight, Ronda Rousey odds, all that. Who knows? Maybe I sprinkle a little bit because I'm a dummy and like. We're joking and stuff, obviously, and these are two strong and beautiful in all their own ways. Maybe not the personality wise for Pena, but they're all beautiful in their own ways. So we're not trying to be haters here. That being said, I will go for another. I will lean into the a bit of more the misogynistic example. But you guys ever been in a room full of fives and the fours, the 3s start looking like 7.5s? You guys know what I'm saying? You're playing on altered, right? You're playing on altered playing fields. Maybe it's a little dark. Maybe there's drinking in the scenario, right? Listen, I was a theater kid in high school, so I understand these adjusted odds. Okay, but listen, we've all been.
So is TV.
Yes, that's amazing.
we've all been tricked into,
That's
you know,
so
when you're
great.
when you're in a room full of, you know, 1 to 6s, you get tricked into thinking the 5s are 8s, right? Okay.
100%.
And when you have a card full of like 500 and 700 favorites, even dog lovers and chalk haters and parlay haters like myself, even us are, you know, unfortunately coming to some bad decisions as far as the chalk goes. So I'd
This
be
is not a
lying if,
good one. This is not
yeah.
would not be a good one. This
So
is
I'd be
this line is wide.
so I'd be lying if I said that I didn't have a parlay with Kayla Harrison in it. But what I really targeted from here as far as a method is I put the Kayla by sub in my round robin, which sucks because
I
it's
like
only
that.
plus 160, which, like, according to my rules and how I station out my round robins, if you have something under a plus 200, you're probably going to be stuck with only a 4-legger if you're ideally trying to turn profit off just 2 legs hitting. A 4-legger, of course, is 6 2-team combos, folks. I like to go 5-leggers, which is 10 2-leg combos, folks, for those counting at home. Unfortunately, though, if you do put like a number as low as a plus 165 in that 5-legger, you're probably going to need like a plus 350 or plus 400 for like your next lowest leg. You know what I'm saying? And, but that being said, like, there are a lot of viable submission props I feel on this card. And Kayla Harrison, even though the price isn't sexy, even on one of the things that has plus numbers, I do feel it's something that's going to be there. And even if it doesn't happen, there's probably at least going to be, and I know close is no cigar, so who the hell counts it? I don't. That being said, maybe at least you won't feel totally stupid if you whiff, which is something, you know? So I'm going to be throwing that in a round robin.
I do think it makes sense when I think about, which is one of the things that Dravi was kind of talking about, which I just in general, when we had him on a couple of weeks ago, motivation. What is Juliana Pena's motivation here?
I mean, to retain her title.
But like long term.
Yeah.
Like what's left for her to do? I mean, this is Kayla Harrison's dream and goal in life. Like, this is everything she's ever wanted right in front of her now. And it seems almost tailor-made for her to win this and then go get a good fight. And of course it's with Amanda Nunes. And of course it's a win-win for the UFC, because if Juliana Pena somehow does it again at plus 500 odds, then you make that trilogy fight that, again, nobody wants to see. And Amanda Nunes probably retired to avoid. But I don't know. It's a really interesting fight. I definitely think that what is Kayla just inside the distance in general?
Looking at what our boy Daz was saying, it's that, like, I know that that's minus money. I don't know how to do these conversions.
Oh, let's see. Hang on. I'll check.
I got it right here. Minus 165, minus 175, depending where you look.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
Not ideal. Not ideal.
Yeah.
That's
I
not
just, I kind of like the over. I kind of like over. I think that Juliana Pena is fairly tough. I know the Durandame fight is actually hilarious in hindsight, but
Shevchenko. Plus, there's another.
Shevchenko's fine. It's the Durandame fight that's hilarious.
There's another one in there too. There's
the Sarah Morais fight in 2012.
So, I guess fair enough.
Here's something that might not happen here, but this vision popped in my head. This reference when at the top of this breakdown, I think TB was saying how, or maybe it was Guru. How could Pena get success in the first?
Are you
rounds?
saying all white people look the same?
What?
Man, what are you saying right now? You can't tell.
Yeah, no. I can't remember which one of you guys said it, to be honest. But oh, Jesus Christ. But listen.
Love you.
I got a flash though of do you guys remember Volkan? Was it Volkan Oezdemir? I forget. It was Misha Serkinov. I think it was Misha Serkinov versus Volkan Oezdemir. And you get this hulked up southpaw blonde guy, right? And Serkinov, right? And not with the odds and hype as a Harrison, right? But remember what, I think it was like his first or second like loss in the UFC, and it was like a really small shot, and he just went down. He just crumpled, like he shut off. Remember that? And it was like a really small shot. You're like, what, did he take a dive? Like, people, it was one of those.
That was it. It was his first loss in the UFC. He got knocked out in 28 seconds by Volkan.
Mm-hmm. If that happened to Kayla Harrison, would you guys genuinely be surprised? How surprised would you be?
Very.
Just because Juliana, I feel like she's got to wear you out to do it. I don't think she's really got the. But it's if Kayla's draining herself that badly, I guess.
No, I mean he's saying 28 seconds in, TJ Dillashaw style, like she's just completely dehydrated and dead.
Yeah, I guess.
like
That would be
irrespective
hilarious.
of person though, like I maybe not Pena, like don't get me wrong, which is why I'm picking Harrison, but like seeing anybody kind of hit her and her shut down, would it really be that surprising? Has she really shown herself to be a comfortable striker? Have we seen fighters before, i.e., again, another big blonde comparison, Brock Lesnar come in and get to world titles even and like do really well, but they just don't do well being hit. It's just something that we even in today's extra modern era, we would just see, Bo Nickel, I don't want to speak too soon. He could bounce back. But again, we see guys get far before getting kind of exposed as far as like not liking strikes or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Dan, what do you think? Maybe I'm crazy and just playing favorites here, but don't you think like somebody like a Norma Dumont would be a tough matchup for Kayla Harrison in that regard?
I mean, it could, but
you think she just would get grappled too easily? That there's not enough defense there?
Yeah. I know Dumont's got like a brown belt in BJJ, so maybe she has better like mat grappling than Pena on paper, but her wrestling and stuff doesn't stand out to me, or transitions. So
I'm just trying to think. I'm gonna pull up the rankings right now. I'm just kind of curious.
But like for example, like I'm not the like obviously if we're going top of the chain,
Norma Dumont's number 4,
and Amanda Nunes comes out of retirement.
Ketlin Vieira, right? It's Amanda Nunes is the only fight. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
I think that's the scenario that Dan brings up is if we're getting the Amanda Nunes fight, Kayla's probably knocked out in 28 seconds.
Yeah, it's going to be – that's when I won't be surprised that she gets knocked out by going stiff, Dan. I think you're reading the crystal ball, but you've got it, just not this fight. I think it's the next.
No, I'm not – and I'm not saying it's this fight,
no,
by the way.
I know.
I'm just asking in general.
But no, I only
asked that question – I only asked that question just to kind of bring us back down to earth to where when we see 750 odds, when we have this, for years now, even before she was in the UFC, we had 2-time Olympic champion, the next Ronda. It breaks a wall down where we have to go, hold on, like even with the Bo Nickel before, right? What are we actually seeing? And would we really actually be surprised if this person fell off? And that I guess that's the only point I'm bringing, And I don't think it's this fight either. I'm just saying like, it is interesting, when you start climbing the side. We've seen this tale like 1,000 times before. But I'm going to go with Harrison by submission here.
Yeah, that's a pretty good look. I think Pena, she's hard to knock out, but she will get tapped out. That's for damn sure.
By the way, who would you real quick hypothetical? Yes. Who would you're in Florida and you got to go to California? Okay, who are you taking the road trip with? Pena or Harrison? Who's your ass pick?
I'm Pena.
You're stuck in the car.
Harrison. Pena, but I'm duct taping her mouth.
Harrison.
Okay. Well, Guru is going to be charged for murder because he's probably going to murder her before he gets to her. And TB will no longer have a penis because Kayla Harrison would have rubbed it down because if you heard her in the pre-fight presser, she is looking for a boyfriend right now.
I got the bet. I got the bet, boys.
TB is really impressionable.
I cooked it up. I found it. Are you guys ready?
Go.
Jesus.
You ready?
What?
Here it is. This is important.
What?
Kayla Harrison, round 1, 2, 3 plus 105.
Oh, that's great. I don't have access to that, but that's fucking great. That was a great line.
Yeah, because if it gets out of that, she's not finishing her.
Wow, we circled that
line.
No, I stayed grinding. You guys were circle jerking.
Yeah, well, someone had to do something so that you finally made magic because that type of stuff turns you on. So
I told you guys I hadn't really gotten the opportunity to really think about this fight like that, and Dan got my marbles going, and they're there.
Maybe you should take
and now you've all seen them. Kayla Harrison plus 105, round 1, 2, 3.
I'm just personally terrified of what would happen to little TB on the road trip. So
very little Kayla. TB on the road trip.
Talking about TB, we've got TB Gastelum, Kelvin Nacho Libre Gastelum versus Guru. Can you do this one for me?
Body bags.
Joe Body Bags Pyer.
Who remembers
the Joe Martinez special?
There it is.
I swear to God, Guru. It was. I don't know at what point Joe Pyer fought in that evening, but it was a solid 3 hours of every 5 minutes. The Guru just going body bags. Just over and over and over. So that's
Well,
just
why did he
etched into
go?
my
Because
mind
did he
forever.
not know his name? Why did he say the M?
It
made
Body
it,
bag.
it was so
Maybe
good. What fight fucking was that?
Maybe it's because
You know,
there's a Z instead of an S at the end of body bags.
no, you know why? It's because he's one of the nicknames like Robert Reaper Whitaker, where they have names where if you're a gamer, you're like, oh, he just used his fucking Call of Duty name for his nickname
Yeah.
there. Like that's Joe Piper's Call of Duty name. He's like, oh, body bags. Reaper is like a guy who's like 50-1 who you like gets accused of hacking. Body bags is a guy who's like 12-13 who camps.
Yes.
You know,
So good.
And then curses you off.
and curses
in the
you out
chat
with
room.
racial slurs and calls you the F word.
Do we think it was the Abdul Razak Al Hassan fight? Because that was
Oh yeah, that was it. That's the one. Because that's
Yeah?
early in the card, right?
All
I didn't-
Assen.
I
Yeah.
gotta check.
Oh yeah, and it's an Apex card, right? Or
Yeah,
something.
that's
like that.
why I
Yep.
suggested it.
I love
All
it. That's
Assen.
the answer, right?
I'll leave
it at that.
No, it was the co-main event of that card.
Oh no, it had to be an earlier fight.
I mean, it didn't have to. I probably
It
said it
didn't.
600 times.
You probably did. But anyways, Nacho Libre, Kelvin Gastelum. I really feel the question comes in: how many nachos did he have in between Mexico to Newark? Because if he stayed dedicated to his camp, if he was truly locked in, he has a chance. But what I didn't like hearing was him mentioning like, I'm a company man, like I'm gonna do what I'm told, and like I really hope the UFC remembers that like I'm just doing what. Yeah, no. It's like this is fight
He's
week
walking to his
interviews.
funeral?
Yeah, because he's like,
Yes.
hey guys, like I think I had a really good chance in Mexico. Things were going great. You know how hard it is for me to have diligence for 3 extra months of my life on my diet.
Wait, where did he say this?
No,
way.
he didn't say that exactly.
Oh.
I'm Kelvin Gastelum at heart as well. So I'm just trying to project to you guys what's happening.
100 TB 100 no 100. I saw those interviews, and then even worse, he was like, well, the game plan was to use the elevation.
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no. And then like,
elevation.
dude, and guys, I didn't go like watch the press conference as it happened today, the day of this recording, but tell me if you guys saw this. I saw the clip of the stare downs. And people in the chat or people watching this post, hence, comment, help the video by letting us know. Dude, look at the video where they stare down, okay? Where you got Joe Pyer in the suit and Kelvin Gastelum's up there. Kelvin Gastelum looks at him to where if he had aura, the look would read, this motherfucker in a suit. But he has so no aura that he's looking at Joe Pyer like he is like the Chad who just hooked up with you're fresh out of a breakup. And you go lurk your ex-girlfriend's page. She's already with a new guy, and he's like some Chad or something. Like he's looking at like he's giving that look where he's like, look at this motherfucker, man. like it's bad. It looks defeat. Like I'm not the one to read overly into this stuff, but to your point, TB, he's not giving out good energy out there, is he?
No, I really just I'll tell you, looking into my psyche deep down, I wouldn't be saying these things if I felt good about it. Pyer should have the hometown crowd here as well. I know Gastelum's the more popular guy, but we're in the Philly-ish area. Pyer, you got to beat Joe Pyer. This guy hits harder than Francis Ngannou. So if you don't think the UFC fans are coming out to watch this guy fight, but no, I mean, realistically, I don't know if Pyer is going to be the first guy to knock out Kelvin Gastelum. Will he work the takedowns and get like one of those arm triangle, big boy type of subs where Gastelum is just like, man, like it's not my day, and I'm just gonna tap quick instead of fighting my way out of this heel hook. Like, is that the type of Gastelum performance we're gonna get, or do we get the nitty gritty and the fight goes and Pyer wins the first couple rounds and Kelvin's putting him on him to end the third round? And the bookmakers have no idea. The fight goes the distance. It's all like even money.
See, I actually kind of like the. I mean, I don't know. It's hard because I feel like a bet on the under is pretty much a bet on Pyer. And even before this, I liked, say what you will about Pyer. Stylistically, I liked him to finish. You look at the trends of what his camp's been doing, and it's been grappling. He's from a really good grappling camp. And I've always said this, he's got underrated wrestling and submissions. And I know it wasn't like the biggest prediction, but he does use it when he's supposed to, like when he fought Abdul Razak Al Hassan, or as I like to call Al Assen, especially at the middleweight, right? Yeah, am I right? You know what I'm saying? He's packing it. But I think he can do that against Gastelum, which I hate to say because I've been like a Gastelum truther. Maybe it's a similar connection to TB where like, it by the way, it looks like someone put TB's head on my body over there, my thick 5'9" frame over there with TB's head on it.
I'm over 200 pounds at 5'10", so I am Kelvin Gastelum.
Okay. Well, I tend to I'm fluctuating just over the 200 and back and forth right now. So yeah, I'm definitely middleweight Gastelum myself, my friend right now. But yeah, that being said, I went back and looked at his record. I'm not going to go through it all here, but you guys can really look back at it and argue that we haven't seen him since that loss to Adesanya. And even when he was on his Joaquin Buckley cleaning out the retirement home wrecking tour, he wasn't even winning all those fights. He lost to Weidman. It was a split decision against Jacare Souza, if you remember that fight, where there was actually an argument for
he didn't win that
winning.
fight. Jacare Souza is my favorite fighter, by the way. He did not. Jacare won that fight. Jacare's been robbed so many times.
Yes,
he's the best fighter that never fought for the fucking belt.
But that fight, Guru, is a perfect example, though, right? As far as pointing to bad optics of being tired, costing you a fight, even when it shouldn't, but it shows you how it could. Because to your point, I believe the more quality strikes was landed by Jacare when you actually go look at it. But yeah, he's been struggling ever since, man. So it's really tough. I don't care. He didn't beat Chris Curtis. I know he technically did, but even without the head drop, which was a head clash, he still outstruck him. But we know the judges don't properly score body work encounters, hence guys like Chris Curtis having awful records. So yeah, I actually really like the submission prop here. I think that's where he's going to go and try to expose him, a head and arm 100%. Choke. I'd even go with the head and arm choke in particular. If you have if there's fun odds and you're looking to, throw a couple dollars away on something fun.
Yeah. Stole my thunder. I love it though. Pyer by sub is the play. I don't think nobody knocks out Kelvin Gastelum unless he just goes out there and quits, which is why plus 125 on the finish is not so bad. But I honestly do. I think Hermanson subbed him pretty easily. I think if this was a CFFC grappling match, Pyer would be minus 380. He'd be minus 3,000. Gastelum would have no chance. So if Pyfer's smart, which he's definitely not,
body bags,
but he's a decent fighter, so he's still gonna take him down, I would think. And he could absolutely get the sub. I think at plus 400, there's some meat on the bone there. So,
by the way, I like that you went with pre-hair Pyer here because he looks like his nickname should be Joe American History X Pyer.
Yes,
that's when I met him. He was nice when I met him.
Yes.
I'm sure. No, I'm sure that those were awesome pictures. By the way, that's also funny too. You had the Kevin Holland picture. It still reminds me of nothing beats the Charles Johnson picture that looks like the Stephen Colbert "I Have Black Friends" photo. Yeah. Which, by the way, I didn't realize is a joke amongst your chatters. I didn't realize they give Guru crap for that. I remember joking on your guys' show about that back in the day, and now it's a joke. It's a joke. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, because I hate Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts and Dwight Grant. So. And Jared,
all black fighters.
And Jared Gooden. Exactly. So now
it's a pattern.
And then there's more.
I gave you the three.
There's
who else is there? Who else is there?
I don't know. There's more. I'm trying to. It's gonna come to me.
Someone's gonna make a super cut.
Those three. And I like them as people. My God, I just don't like them as fighters.
All right. So, anyways, we're moving on. We've got a Super Mario Bautista versus the Human Backpack, Patchy Mix, or Patrick Star, whatever you want to use in your life. Is it no love? Is it no love, Patchy Mix? Yeah, Guru, are you? We're gonna see. But also, am I picking chaos? I don't know. All right. Anyways, on this fight though, a Super Mario coming in here. At the face-offs, he definitely was just a tiny bit smaller.
That's a really good nickname, Dogfather. Well done.
Nice. That's pretty good.
That's comment of the week.
Patchy checks mix. Nice.
Yeah. It's no love. What did you put there?
The Human Backpack, because that's all they kept saying when I was watching his Bellator fights, just over and over. They just kept on saying the Human Backpack.
Yeah, that's fair. The Human Backpack.
Yeah, I didn't actually they updated it on UFC since they put his profile there. But anywho, plus 150 on the Bautista side, minus 180 on the Patchy Mix side. What is interesting is that it seems like Bautista does a really good job of fighting to a game plan. And he is in the champ camp, right? With Sean O'Malley, they're out at the same gym and stuff. So you got to imagine he's locked in. In the same token, Patchy Mix making his debut, you got to imagine that he's, chomping at the bit for this opportunity to make a stamp. Michael Chandler style. Like, is he going to see a title fight within his first couple UFC fights coming over from the PFL tour? In this matchup, though, Bautista talks about this week how, he wants to keep the fight, at range and engage just in a striking battle, that the clinch is not going to be his friend in this matchup like it was in the last one versus Aldo. How he understands he's not a fan favorite because he beat the legend, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's a really smart guy. He really understands where he's at, and I trust him to fight to a good game plan. But all that stuff goes out the window when you're in a scramble with Patchy Mix. So it's really difficult here. I think that the dog money is super tempting. But if this fight ends up on the mat, we could have a submission within like 30 seconds. Mario Bautista, I know it's his debut, but getting submitted by Corey Sandhagen and then also getting taken down in a few other matchups where it's just unsavory. And Damon Blackshear had way too much success. And I know it was early on, but what if happens if it's unsavory. But if Patchy Mix, if he gets an early takedown, it's different than Damon Blackshear getting an early takedown. So I'm extremely concerned for how well Bautista fights to his game plan. And I'm really tentative on playing the dog here, but it just might be something that needs to be done. I mean, this fight opened up way closer to even. It's been pushed out as the week goes on. And while Patchy Mix fought the absolute best that they could offer him, is that enough? I mean, did Bautista fight the better guys in his last couple matchups? And that's what we're about to find out. I think at plus money, for the guy that's been there, for the guy that was preparing for UFC Newark all along, and already was getting a big matchup with a big name in Chito Vera, he wins that one. He's immediately in the conversation of a eliminator fight.
That would have been an easy win too.
Yeah, so Mario Bautista, something tells me we got to be on a dog shot here. Guru?
That is how I've been thinking. I am kind of curious and nervous about the sub, or even just the finish in general. Getting knocked out by 5 stars is not a good idea. So I don't know. At the same time, he's fighting Sergio Pettis, who's like, I mean, I know he was another former champion, I suppose, but never been super impressive to me. And he's the much smaller guy there, and he just gets laid on top. I mean, it's a total mismatch, and he just gets completely dominated. That Magomedov fight, which is, by the way, his last fight. How bad of a fight is that? Like, what is that? Like that, and the scorecards are all over the place. It's so boring. I don't even know what I'm watching.
May I? Can I
Yeah.
help you there? I think it's that Magomedov, he always had like a wrestling and scrambling advantage in most fights. He loses those scrambles in the first one, Apache, but he really fixes up the holes in his headlock sequence defense, and he's able to get back to the feet. And Patchy at that point, he just looks worse in the striking exchanges because he's not as aggressive. He doesn't really know how to fight off the back foot as well. And Magomedov is just able to kind of like, once he's not as worried about the grappling, he's able to fight his fight. But at the same time, Patchy still has these, he's got him in a guillotine. He landed, like a nice takedown. And it's like, but Magomedov lands the more impactful strikes. Patchy wobbles. It's very subjective stuff. But the fact that it was that close when Patchy was that big of a favorite, it just leaves a little bit to the imagination.
I scored it for Magomedov, actually, and I have a bias toward Patchy, even though it's not a big bias because I'm not like a big fan. I don't know him that personally. I'm just talking about the bias that he trains in my backyard at my gym, right, guys? And knows people that I know, kind of a thing. So not a big bias, but you know me, I like to admit to that stuff, come as clean as possible. And even with that said, I scored it for Magomedov. One of the other things he said he did too, which I didn't touch on, and I heard our guy Eric Nixick saying on his show, which was it's something I always talk about too, and other analysts like Connor Rebush talk about the southpaw killer, how the left hand is actually the quiet killer. And he was doing the Jorge Masvidal to Darren Till move where he switched to southpaw to match the stance, and that's what he was rocking Patchy with over and over again. And when I went back to watch Patchy's fights, and some of the stuff I actually forgot to say on this week's Dogger Pass, this is another good opportunity, aside from like just jerking off with you guys, literally and figuratively. I can say stuff that I missed too. And yeah, it's regardless of stance, it's left-sided strikes that are the common culprit for Mix, and left-sided strikes are the weakest for Bautista. Not that Bautista is that big of a striking threat. He's a big enough of a striking threat to win the fight and outscore him. However, what I noticed about Bautista is that he actually grappling is more tied to his game than I realized. Of course, we all like to over dramatize it with the hate that he's getting from the Jose Aldo fight. But if you look back at it, like his ability to mix takedowns and grappling with striking has kind of always been a key to his game. And I'm almost curious as to what happens when he's forced to strike, because maybe he's not as comfortable. Maybe the striking isn't as good if you take away that wrestling, right? Like if Merab couldn't wrestle, his striking would probably be exposed a lot more than it is, right? Defensively. And so you think about it, is he really going to want to shoot on a guy with a guillotine or this or that? Even Bautista, who is smart, like you said, TB, he's already saying he's not making any qualms about it. The game plan is to stay on the feet, which makes sense. The lateral movement and stuff, that actually should give Patchy some problems, despite being from Extreme Couture. That's one of the last things to come along. He's more like a, not like prime Nick Diaz corralling against the cage, but like, a post-prime flat Diaz brother, kind of like plodding along, very flat-footed, the southpaw, the lazy jabs out there. He's got some counters and stuff, but not enough pop, because it's counter strikers, if you look at it, that really give Bautista trouble. That's why I picked Jose Aldo. I'm like, oh, Jose Aldo can counter Bautista and he can keep it on the feet. So that's why I picked Jose Aldo. That was the reasoning there, and wasn't a bad pick despite the scorecard, regardless of what you think of it. So Patchy can win this fight, even by points, even with his striking, for all the shortcomings that there are. Like, Bautista is 1-1 against UFC level lefties. His only victory is against a over 40 Guido Canetti, who Guido Canetti was, by the way, a striker who was able to take him down. And the loss, of course, was a knockout to Trevin Jones, who knocked him out as a southpaw. And Bautista did not look very comfortable in those fights or against the southpaw stances. It's very little sample size of that. So I am, for those reasons, leaning with Mix. Of course, Mix could also get the takedowns early that Bautista gives, but Bautista's a really good scrambler, man. He uses butterflies, he uses the cage well. He will turtle like a lot of the John Crouch MMA lab fighters, but he uses in conjunction with a cross wrist grip that makes it harder to get the back on those little exchanges. You've been seeing it from like Brian Barberina facing Colby Covington, Benson Henderson back in the day. All the lab fighters do it. So he plays with fire, but I think he can get away with it. So long story short, guys, all that analysis to say is that regardless of what side you like, the dog is live. And in hindsight, the play here could be the over, which is slightly cheaper depending on where you look, or around the same price as a mixed money line, if you don't feel like ballsy enough to take the dog shot. Because I think we get a competitive fight that goes over here. Back to my sub prop round robin, I got Pyer in there. I'm going to throw Harrison in there. And I'm also going to throw Mix in there, which I didn't want to because he's only plus 200. But I realized since I actually have the over in one is like a small, stupid parlay, but I have the over technically in two parlays, guys. So I'm like, well, the way I see that getting messed up is a mixed submission, right? So let me put that mixed submission. Yeah. If it hits, hopefully one of the other sub players hit of the card and profit and make up for it with the round robin. So that's my thinking here.
Little Scottie Pippen action out there, if I'm not mistaken.
Scottie
yeah, how you doing? All right, so Guru, any other final takeaways on that one? I know we stole the steering wheel from you.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, just a really, really interesting fight. Something I'm very, very excited to watch. So is Terrence. And I am still kind of tempted by that dog money. I do think that the striking could be a problem. I do think that your take about the scrambling and some of the takedown defense from Bautista is interesting. I know his statistically it's not fantastic. It's 66%. Yep.
He gets better as the fight goes on.
Like
he
that
tends to give him up early.
Fight.
So.
That's an interesting thought, which is where, of course, giving up the submission would be the biggest issue. So that is an interesting thought. Maybe a live entry spot on Bautista. You're probably right. I mean, these Bellator guys get their first win.
Terrence the Cat. How about you give the real inspiration, Guru?
Terrence and Phillip from South Park.
Hell yeah.
Guru, I like that. By the way, Guru, I did like that live entry note. That is a good note to keep in mind for any Bautista backers there, or anybody needs to buy out of their mix exposure.
Yeah, I like that. By the way, TB, if you want Patchy Mix by sub, we can get plus 320 over on Fanatics.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean that is kind of if it's going to be a comfortable win, that's how he does it.
Well, it's also because it's significantly better than the market right now. Like 270
Yeah.
is FanDuel.
Yeah,
I think I would do like my thought though is like a sub 1-2 FanDuel special might get you even a little better pricing. Because I don't think it's round 3 if it's happening.
Well, let's see what it is. That's a very good point, and you have tickled my pickle. So,
first you had Dan with the marbles. Now I'm with your pickle.
Wait, listen, we're getting suspect on this show tonight, guys. So if you don't like that, you can just you can get out. Sub 1-2 is 380, so I would rather take 320.
Yeah. Fair enough. You make good points. We're on to Vicente, the silent assassin, Luque versus Kevin, the trailblazer, Big Mouth, Holland. Minus 270 on the Holland side. I'm going to vomit. Vicente Luque at plus 220. Why would I be vomiting, you ask? Well, anytime we get significant CLV, it's just not going our way. So we're sitting here with some Kevin Holland minus 166. And anytime we beat the line by this much, it ends up in sadness and misery. So people start loading your Vicente Luque submission props or his decision props because me and the Guru just can't have nice things or CLV trophies. It's just not allowed to happen.
There's no way. He's washed, bro. He's washed.
So, and the hilarious part is when you're watching the press conference today and Vicente's like, yeah, I'm ready for a war. And Kevin's like, I'm just trying to find out what happened in the Joaquin Buckley fight. And like, aren't we all, right? But we were all over that one.
I was all over Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah.
What did he say? Well, did Luque respond to that? Because that's what I want to know.
He looked so confused.
So then the other hilarious part, they get to the face-off, and Kevin Holland's like, yeah, I can't wait for a war. You know, like, the sex after that is, like, so much better. And then Luque is just, like, staring at him, and he goes, what, you don't like sex? And it's like, Kevin, I don't know. Vicente wasn't feeling the vibes, I guess. He was trying not to laugh. But ultimately, what we're seeing, I mean, a 6-inch reach advantage. And Kevin Holland's a guy that actually knows how to use it. We haven't seen someone at 170 successfully wrestle him for long enough to win a fight. And typically, these are the type of matchups he thrives in. Guys that aren't quite in their prime from a performance perspective. Guys that he can keep at the end of his punch. And quite frankly, I know Luque, like, on paper, it looked like he had a really good wrestling performance versus RDA, but, like, that's also a 155er who's giving up height and reach to Luque, whereas Holland, he's got every single advantage you could ask for in the book here. Aside from, you know, just his willingness to sit on bottom. I don't think we even get there enough in this fight. I think Holland, it's going to be jab, body teep, 1-2. Luque's not loving it, and we'll see how quickly it ends. After, like, the first real, like, exchange that Luque has to absorb, I look back at the stats, and Joaquin Buckley, he landed 13 out of 21 distance strikes to the legs and the body. It took 8 strikes to the head in that matchup over 2 rounds for Luque to decide that he didn't really want to be there anymore. And quite frankly, Buckley doesn't really do that with his hands typically. So just not a good look. And I think Holland can hurt him to the body. Yeah. So, all right, we got Holland. I mean, Guru,
I think Holland is obviously he's not as good as strong of a power puncher as Buckley, but I think that they're both similarly athletic in a lot of ways. So yeah, check out my picture with Kevin Holland over on X there, and go check out my 4-unit bet over on Kevin Holland at minus 166. So yeah, I do think he gets it done. I do think that Vicente Luque is washed, and it's just that I mean, guys, brain hemorrhage. I mean, I don't know how much we need to talk about this. Like, I mean, we're going to talk about it every time he has a fight from here till he retires. But
yeah.
I don't know that he should be fighting. And let's just be real. I made a mistake fading him versus Themba Gorimbo, But that fight didn't even have the chance to play out.
Yep.
Because Themba
we
is
didn't
that
get to know much.
fraudulent. So that's different than this. And anybody that wants to talk about the Gunnar Nelson fight, Gunnar Nelson is much better at grappling than Vicente Luque. Sorry if you don't like that, but it's true. Vicente Luque used to be one of the most violent men in the UFC. He used to be a striker. This fight should be like video game style, would be fantastic. In real life, I just don't think Vicente has that dog in him anymore. So I like Kevin Holland in this spot. These are the rules when you're fading Kevin Holland. Is the fight at 185, and is he a wrestler? So is the fight at 185? No. Is he a wrestler? He's become one. Not really. So the answer is still no. Right? Gunnar Nelson, is he a wrestler? Yeah, sure. Grappler? Yeah, absolutely. 185? Nope. He wins. Can't compare. I'm sorry, Dan Tom. One last thing. You can't compare getting subbed by Renair de Ritter, Hamzat Chimaev, and what was the last sub? And Brendan Allen. All 185ers, all way better at submission grappling and wrestling in general than Vicente Luque, and all much bigger. You cannot compare that. Anybody sitting there saying Kevin Holland's sub defense is trash, you're an idiot. Like it doesn't make sense. That does not make sense.
All right, Dan, it's your
please.
turn now.
All right, I'll play devil's advocate, although I'm not confident because again, it's just like, who knows if this guy should even be fighting, man? Like it's just like, I said I'd never even pick him again. You know what I'm saying? Like, and here I am, struggling for dog picks on this card, and I'm not liking any of the few dogs. Maybe is a few, couple, maybe a few might even be too many. But Luque is one that I ended up siding with, semi-reluctantly, albeit, but I ended up siding with him. Not confident. Don't want to play it. Like, the good news is the sub number, as crazy as it is that it's so high toward the plus 900 range, is that I don't even have to throw it in a round robin to sacrifice. Like, I could just sprinkle a couple bucks I never want to see again and let that, be my only, exposure, the old grandma's couch cushion, as you guys would call it, if that. But I haven't done that yet. And again, it's just like, how do you be confident on this fight? We didn't really see much of the Garimbo fight for him to be tested, right? So it's hard to say once those punches start coming, that straight 1-2 down the pike. That's kind of what I see for Holland. However, if that doesn't happen, regardless of the weight class, is Holland a trustable fighter? No. Is he a consistent fighter? No, he's not. He's not. As much as we like him, I don't think he's very trustable, right? Because what are you talking about here? I mean, even let's go with the context. You're right. It is harder at 185. Most of those grappling threats, there's a lot of context to it that you were correct on there, Guru, right? But that being said, Kevin Holland was never minus 270s to minus 400s at middleweight, was he? That's his regular price that's been at welterweight. And for those of us that know Kevin Holland, know that he's still the same inconsistent fighter despite the apex bump that he got over the pandemic.
I mean,
right?
I don't know. He's minus 300 versus Mikhailo Lajaychuk. He's, minus 150 versus Chiesa there. He's minus 250 versus Ponzinibbio. He's minus two.
Those are welterweights. I'm saying middleweight,
true.
and then the one middleweight fight there was Aleksejic. But again, look what happened. He didn't he get knocked down and then had to armbar from the back, guys. I don't even know how dependable that is in low level WMMA, much less men's MMA in the year of 2025.
That was pretty sweet.
Guard submission, right? Like, so I'm saying,
he still got it done.
He is still done, but I'm talking about low percentage, right? That's a low percentage move, and you just cited a high percentage price tag to him. And he got a low percentage move after getting knocked down. To my point, he's not trustable. So I get that that's where my urge is coming from, and the urge of many, that even if we don't pull the trigger to fade him, it's hard to pick him or like just to be confident no matter what your level of commitment is to Holland. And I think that's fair to say. He's not inconsistent as far as Kelvin Gastelum levels. Perhaps he's a different flavor, but he's still a wild fucking inconsistent flavor that's in the same serving section as Kelvin Gastelum. Let's be real here. Middleweight to welterweight, tweener and all, right? Questionable.
I don't know. I still have to push back, Dan. This is not a guy that misses weight. This is not a guy that pulls out of fights. Like that is totally different in that regard. I understand maybe what you see inside the cage, but I also think he's taking on top tier talent because of his willingness to fight whoever. Look at his losses.
But it's an opposite.
You go.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
But his willingness to fight. But think about it though. He's not fighting. He's not mission for gold, Kelvin Gastelum.
No,
he's doing the opposite because his attitude is the opposite, right? He's showing his sneakers. He's showing that I don't give a fuck about this loss because I got sneakers. Compare that to a guy like Merab. Like we said, who do we want to bet at as bettors? Even though we might like Holland here and we might not pick Merab, the fact is, as a bettor, you should always be looking at guys who will fight for your dollar, who show up consistent regardless of condition, whereas guys who Kevin Holland's own admission does not want to be champion, shows 100%. Up just for money. Again, he might not miss weight like Kelvin Gastelum, but he is way more honest than Kelvin Gastelum as far as he hates the fucking preparation and diet. He already doesn't do that on the regular and only does it for his welterweight. This is his own admissions, right? And fourthly, this is one thing that worries me because I was looking on his IG and I don't really look at this stuff. Everybody's talking about the vibes off on Sean O'Malley. You take away, is it the mood? Is it the fighter? Where are they at? That plays a lot into it, which is a real dangerous woo-woo science to get into. But Kevin Holland himself will explain when he actually was asked about his inconsistencies. He actually answered, unlike Luke, what we were talking about earlier, right? And when Kevin Holland answers, he says stuff like, it all depends on what's going on in my life, really. He goes, sometimes I'm going in there and I'm happy and I'm fighting like I'm happy. Sometimes I'm going in there and I'm heartbroken and I just want to feel the pain. And this motherfucker just went through some kind of a breakup on his IG. All his posts are about women or not getting money from his sponsorship, drama with the Jackson sponsorship, not getting his money there, talking about girls and breakup. He's posting like a girl who's like trying to show their boyfriend, their ex-boyfriend that it don't bother me. I'm out there about these hoes. And his energy is completely fucking not thinking about fighting. It seems like, and I don't know what it's coming off of the post-fight press conference where he's like isolated and forced to answer questions about the fight. I'm sure it probably comes off a little differently. But again, I'm just playing devil's advocate out here, connecting to factual things that the horse himself has said from his mouth. So for that reason, even if I were to pick Kevin Holland, even though I believe he is the right side here, and I think you guys have a good chance of cashing your CLV trophy, I can't trust Kevin Holland.
That's respectable.
Some of that outside the cage stuff is definitely interesting.
We're moving on from this.
Moving on.
We're over an hour, and you boys.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick. We're gonna pick up the pace, but at the same time, we're starting to get to the point where we have Joshua Van, the fearless, at minus 650. This is like every single line going forward. So I think we gave fantastic fun analysis. But now you got Bruno Bulldog Silva plus 470. And quite frankly, I mean, you're hoping for this guy to find a finish while Josh Van's still downloading. Otherwise, where do things go right for Silva down the stretch here? I mean, Van's going to be working the body. He's going to be working the pace. He's going to be working the pressure. And even if he does get taken down early, he's going to be scrambling back to his feet. So I implore all of you, before you put Josh Van in your parlays, sit there, have like Kayla Harrison in your bet slip, something else. When Josh Van gets to minus 160 live in the first round, that's when you do it. When Bruno Silva's landed a takedown, he's landed a couple big shots. Van has to bite down on the mouthpiece. There's 1.5 minutes left in the first round. Hit the live bet button at that point. Because it's irresponsible to take Josh Van at minus 650 here. And it's also irresponsible to play a round 2, round 3 knockout prop when Josh Van only has one finish in the UFC. So for all the amazing pace and pressure and turning it on down the stretch, we really haven't seen him end up with a lot of these finishes, even as he's having these guys look like they're melting. So I think it's Van by decision, especially that Silva kind of eats some dirty strikes before going down against Kopp. But yeah, I do think Josh Van probably at least pulls out rounds 2 and 3. And you probably get a good live bet opportunity. Guru?
I don't expect Josh Van to pull out ever. I actually kind of like if I'm gonna go to Grandma's couch cushions here. I'm thinking, and
Digging in.
I'm digging in. We gotta make a new song. We need a new song for the pod here.
Yeah.
But
we'll never what you call it? Yeah, we'll do it. We'll
All
workshop
right.
it. We'll workshop it.
There it is. That makes sense to me. So I kind of like Josh Van round 2, round 3 KO here. He has 4 KOs in round 2 in his career. And I like that at plus 360 over on FanDuel. So plus 360, Josh Van KO 2-3. Bruno Silva been KO'd. I'm looking at the wrong person. I clicked the wrong guy. Bruno Silva been lost 6 times, has been finished by KO twice in round 1 once and in round 3 as well. So I absolutely think that Josh Van's going to pour it on late. Bruno Silva has also been submitted in round 3. So I definitely think a late finish will happen here. And I'm really hoping at some point, TB, we can get some solid money on Josh Van. But this kid is young and getting better. He might just pour it on from the get-go.
Yeah. I like. I don't know. I don't care how good your candy is. I'm not getting in the van for minus 650. You know,
Jesus Christ.
That's good.
Jesus,
That's
I
good.
know.
In a van down by the river.
I don't want. Yeah, but be careful. TB's gonna start calling fighters like kid touchers again, like last episode or whatever it was.
That was wild.
Oopsies! Did I do that?
Oh my gosh! Listen, no, I you know, TB said some great points as far as like the finishes that really haven't been materializing, but at the same time, he should pour it on late, kind of like Guru was saying. So here's the thing: I always have the classic Van round 3, my round robins, and the second I don't put it in, now it's gonna hit. Watch. I'm not going to put it in my round robins, but what I might do, I'm going to check out the old Betfred machine down here at the old Virgin Hotel, and they have stupid numbers they post. So I'm going to see if they posted some stupid numbers because I don't like the low round 3 numbers that are below plus 900, which is always crappy in my opinion for round 3 odds. So maybe a sprinkle there, but yeah, I don't got anything on Van. He's the pick here.
Live entry.
That's a beaut.
And round 2, round 3 KO. I love it.
Yes, and to Benino's point, like I said, you got to do it with like 2 minutes left in the first round. It's not at the end of round 1. At that point, it's too late.
It's never too late unless it's the end of round 1.
We're live every Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern. Do the right thing. Throw a like on the video. Subscribe. Tell your friends. The only person I don't want you to tell is your grandma because we're taking money from her couch to place our prop bets. All right, we're on to the next fight. We've got Azamat, the professional, Mirzakhanov, a.k.a. Murdakanov. Shout out. I think that was Cody. I'm not sure, but wherever I heard that, that stuck in my mind as a winner. Versus Brenson the Gorilla Hibero. I've got really bad news. This could be the latest Harambe. I think the professional, the Gorilla might die in the octagon.
That's actually really good.
Yeah, this isn't Cincinnati, but in Newark at the Prudential Center, the Gorilla on the rock. He might not make it. Once the professional Murdakanov is done with him.
He's going to kill him. I really think he kills him.
Hibero, he's got no striking defense. He's got no chin. And quite frankly, Mirzakhanov, he's one of those guys where, like, if you're able to eat some strikes and make him work, you've got a chance. I don't think Brenson can do the first check off on that list there. So minus 625, though, here we are. Round 1 knockout, round 2 knockout. Those would be the 2 things I would play. If not, I'm not playing this game.
It has to be round 1. I'm looking for round 1 here. Round 1 knockout. It's going to be so bad. I'd be lucky if it's plus money. Yeah, it's plus 140. I love it.
It is what it is.
I don't think he survives. I think he's so bad. He's so bad. The Gaziasulov, he loses to Gaziasulov. It's wrestling to death. He gets killed by Mingyang Zhang, which is excusable, except that he also has 3 other round 1 losses in his regional tape. Been knocked out twice in round 1 before. So no way. I think he gets knocked out again. Right, Dan?
Yeah, I think that's right. But what I think could be wrong, maybe, is I'm waiting for TB to use the nickname "rough trade." You know, I know there's some real, I know there's gay connotations with it, which makes it even funnier. But like Brenson, rough trade Ribeiro, you know, because he gives it and takes it. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't neither too well.
Goodness.
Neither too well. It's not too selective out there. But listen, and then The Professional, he should really. By the way, Leon the Professional is one of my favorite movies. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. But Mirzakhanov should. This joke will probably go over your head, but Mirzakhanov should really embrace that. Maybe come out with a plant and a underage girl he has a questionable relationship with. Who knows? Aside from that, it was a great movie. But Mirzakhanov, he looks like David Harbour from Stranger Things in the Russian prison. To be honest, kind of a thing, like him and Martin Bidet. But I think he's going to get it done here. He's one of my more competent picks. And the Gorillas probably makes more sense because I think that I think he is going to be. I think he is going to be, poached here by Mirzakhanov, who's a real dangerous southpaw athlete. I think he's going to get it done in round 1, maybe 2 at the latest, probably round 1. But here's what I did. I got Mirzakhanov, Pyer, and Harrison. And then that's like minus 148 when I got it. I just put 1.5 on that. And then I did a little second layer. Shout out to my guy and former host, Cody. Saftic, a little PRP layer, which I'll give you guys. But one thing I also did was I like the under in this fight a lot, the 1.5, which I usually hate. But if you don't like the minus 625, right, look at the under, because if you honestly do the math on both their records, win or lose, both guys, 95% upwards to 99%, it's like falls under that under 1.5. So I feel like that's a solid piece. And I actually parlayed the under of this fight with the over in the mixed Bautista. And that was plus 158.
Daniel,
what were those three? What were the 3 legs again? It was
well, money lines, money lines as Matt Pyer Harrison minus 148. By the way,
nice.
But if you do the under of this fight, which instead of a money line, that's a good approach. And I actually took the under of this fight and parlayed it with the over in the mixed fight, and that's plus 158. Just those 2 total legs parlayed.
That's really interesting. Why is the under minus 168? That doesn't even make any minus 160. Doesn't even make any sense. He's gonna kill him in round 1.
Yeah. And what I might do, even though it's shitty, like plus 350, maybe plus 400 at most numbers, you'll get on Azamat round 2. Maybe you just sprinkle a little bit on round 2, just in case it's one of those times where you just miss the total by like a second. We've all been there, right? And then you're like, well, at least I made back some of that exposure by still cashing that round 2, because if it goes to round 3, something went wrong for both guys. Oh, you know what I'm saying? So just food for thought.
Some food for thought for the polar bear versus the salsa boy. Sergey Spivak minus 130. Shout out vampires and Moldovans across the world. Versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. My salsa, my salsa makes up. Shout out to my band. So salsa boy at plus 110, minus 130 for the polar bear. I'm really struggling with this one, just as I made everyone in the
I'm on Waldo Cortez Acosta.
Oh, okay. So give me what you got.
I got Waldo Cortez Acosta at plus 125.
I got Waldo.
I got Waldo. I couldn't find him, though. Honestly, I just feel like Sergey Spivak's, like, the way that he gets takedowns is kind of limited. And I just really do like Waldo Cortez Acosta to kind of jab him up. And I also feel that with the height advantage could certainly help. I feel like he's actually really realistically going to be a lot bigger than I didn't actually see. Did they face off today? They're probably not, right? So I really do want to see them face off. I feel like Waldo Cortez Acosta is just going to be a lot beefier.
I heard they went tip to tip backstage, but no.
Oh my God, that was on OnlyFans though. That's different.
I wish I was there.
Jesus Christ.
Meat docking.
So honestly, oh my God, Dan. Honestly, one of these guys is on a 4-fight win streak, and one of them is 1-2 in their last 3. This heavyweight division desperately needs new blood, and I think that this is a winnable fight for Cortez Acosta.
So shout out to my guy Zane Simon. This feels like what they call a true two outcome fight, where it feels like either one guy wins by knockout, one guy wins on the feet, one guy wins on the floor, so to speak. I think that's the proper way to phrase it for this fight. And it's been hard because like I hate Salsa Boy. Not hate is a strong word, but you know what I mean. He's just like probably my least favorite heavyweight fighter. Just something about his style and his just and I was almost surprised to see him as an underdog in this spot, which immediately wanted me to pull away off of the old polar bear. Sometimes you get those feelings where you see a fight and you're like, oh, this guy's losing. And that was Sergey Spivak when he fought Cyril Gane, which he might have lost anyways, obviously. But like that was a fight where before the fight started, you're like, oh, this guy looks like he looks like he's like just got injected by something or something. He looks like all rabid out there. So you don't know if Spivak's going to self-implode or he's going to do his thing as one of the few heavyweights that can grapple, which is a big plus for me. And he's made me some big plus monies in the past because of that Spivak. So I'm going to pick Spivak here. And since I believe it's a true two outcome fight, and I'm betting Spivak inside the distance plus 175. I just missed the 2-1 because of course I get the shittiest lines, but I just put one unit on that. If it hits, it at least covers my round robin exposure. And then what I also did was I put the under in this fight. I know I hate unders, and here I am. But here's the thing: is they had the under for a reasonable price, and it's not a 1.5, which I hate. Although it took in the Mirzakhanov fight, this is an under 2.5. And I parlayed it with Merab Dvalishvili money line at the top, just to kind of spread out where I'm exposed in this card. And since I didn't have much on Merab, I'm like, fuck it, I'll throw him in one. I threw him in a parlay there, but I do think regardless if you like that or not, the under is something to look at because even though Waldo Cortez Acosta is more than capable of being a sloggy fighter that goes to decision, again, Spivak is do or die. And I think this is a do or die kind of fight style. So I actually like the under here.
Yeah, I think Waldo's got absolutely zero answers if this fight does hit the mat.
The Thomas Peterson fight is such a problem.
It is, but okay, so there's a couple things. I think Peterson is, funny enough, I think he's a little bit more of an explosive wrestler, and he's lower to the ground. So it's easier for him to get into a double leg and just kind of drive through it, where Cortez Acosta, like, he doesn't really have a great bottom game. But what we'll also say about the Rogerio de Lima fight is that the calf kicks are what set up everything.
Yes.
Spivak does not have the speed advantage. He doesn't have the damage to set up his takedowns. And that's where I get scared. So I really do think that this has to be a serious consideration. It's just, do you get Salsa Boy kind of laughing, dancing to the crowd, throwing dumb 1-2s, getting taken down for a bit, ending up on his back, but surviving, get on the feet, maybe landing more damage? Like, is he really going to get Sergey out of there? Like, if you're not getting the likes of the aged Andrei Arlovsky, Jared Vanderup.
Why does he have to finish him? Why can't he win a decision?
Oh no, I'm just saying it's sketchier in that regard. I'm just saying I don't think it has to be an under.
I think he comes out. First off, I love sloppy heavyweight fights, and this has a very good chance of being one. And I honestly think unless Spivak gets the sub or quits, I honestly do think it goes over. And this is a number 7 versus a number 11. So I do think that in that regard, it's kind of interesting. Waldo Cortez Acosta trying to fight into the top 10.
Jeez, maybe this isn't the time to fade him.
I don't think so. He's surging.
I just feel like
I got a raging clue right now.
I just feel like the under could be a possible for like covering either side of this, because I think both stylistically and psychologically, again, why can't Salsa Boy dance? I'll tell you why, because the way stylistically and psychologically Spivak's wired is, okay, you're allowing him to dance, which means you're either giving Spivak the time and confidence to operate his game, or you're taking that confidence away. Look at Spivak's fights. They only go one of two ways, unless it's like a super well-matched, well-rounded guy like Marcin Tybura, where that was just a weird fight. At least the first one, I should say, where they were like going to war over like an ice fisherman hole. They just looked like crazy freaking dudes in Alaska, like, 28 days, 30 days of night scene or something out there. But like outside of those really weird fights, which again, it could happen. And I'm a sloppy heavyweight guy too. I'm an over guy. I'm a sloppy heavyweight over guy. You're preaching to the choir here. this just feels like an under here, man. This feels like an under. It feels like a true two outcome fight. And in fact, if it does go over, it will only strengthen my fucking deserved hate for Waldo Cortez Acosta, because only a fucking shitbird could make this fight sloggy. God, I hate him, Waldo Cortez Acosta. All right, here we go. Waldo Cortez Acosta decision incoming, baby.
Yeah,
I like it. What are the odds on that? Somebody talk to me.
great question. The answer to that, I don't know the answer.
The answer to it is plus 610, boys.
Again,
super interesting.
Again, that doesn't make too much sense, both from my analysis, even where they themselves are placing the numbers. The under maybe should be higher number than if we're going to put that big of a number on a decision prop. I know it's heavyweights, but still.
I love it.
I agree.
All right. 600.
We're moving on. We've got the Ox Fighter, Chaos Williams, minus 192 versus Andreas Berg Gustafsson, the Bane, and not Ben Davis. This is a different type of Bane.
Our boy,
minus 192 for Chaos. I have a lot of concerns in this matchup on both sides. Honestly, I'm scared for each of these guys in different ways. If Berg is not able to close the distance and take him to darkness, then and get into the clinch, it's going to be a very long night for Berg, or a very short night. And if Chaos Williams can't land a knockout punch and keep Berg at distance, and I don't love what happens when Chaos ends up in these clinch and takedown exchanges, I think Berg should dominate in that area. He's a little bit taller. I know he's got less reach, but that's probably actually going to make him stronger in the clinch and better in those striking situations where he's got a nice Greco-Roman background. But Chaos, he could just kill him before it gets there. So I don't love the defense on the Berg side, but a plus 160, I'm once again tempted. Here I am once again. Tempted on a dog shot.
There you go.
Nice. All right. What do you got?
I'm tempted on a dog shot as well, but I also kind of like am I crazy for like maybe thinking it over? I mean, both of these guys are durable, and Chaos has always kind of been a sneaky little decisionator. So with some little clinch pushing, I don't know. I am kind of curious about it, but nothing really jumps out at me other than possibly considering a dog shot. But he's cutting weight twice, right? So like I don't love that.
I'm picking the dog to hit, and I'm picking it to go over. But whether we're talking about that plus 160 or whether we're talking about the minus 160, I don't feel confident enough in either. And they're both technically playable from their standpoints. But I don't know, because even though I agree, and part of the reason I have somewhat of a belief in Gustafsson's durability is why I'm picking him here. I mean, how could you not pick, if you don't think someone's durable, you should not be picking him against Chaos Williams, even if you don't like Chaos Williams' style. That's the one thing you need, because that's the one thing he can do is to put you out. So I'm going to be picking Gustafsson, who looks like, by the way, like, look at that picture. Like, tell me, like, you could throw a Kaiser helmet on that guy and it would not look out of place. My goodness, with those tattoos. Yeah, I mean, not to get down to that stereotype, but we got a lot of team Derek Vineyard American History X out on this fight slate. But yeah, I'll take another one of those guys, I guess. Here, give me Gustafsson.
Yeah,
I think I'm tempted. I think I'm quite tempted.
I think we will be chanting Berg or Bane, whatever.
He might be a better. I think he might be a better one than Bautista, but I'm not sure.
It could be. I think Chaos is less dependable and less proven in extended fights and in wrestling and clinch exchanges.
You're talking dirty to me.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I texted you a couple dog ideas, and Berg was on the list, baby. So I'm glad we're burgling away.
We can get 162 on 365.
Ooh. All right, everyone else has been doing it this week, so I'll spare you. We've got Ariani, the Queen, De Silva, Lipsky. Do whatever you want there. Wang Chong, the Joker. It's going to be cringy. She's going to come out at the face-offs. It's going to be terrible. But at the same time, she's probably going to be the way better fighter. The fact that she's not the Queen of Violence anymore and she's just the Queen, that's all you need to know, guys. We'll leave it at that. I mean, she's just not She doesn't have it anymore ever since whatever
She got married.
the groomer. Yeah, there's a lot going on in that
You didn't
camp.
narrow it down. You didn't narrow it down with that.
No, not. I mean, it's not supposed to. It's just typically though, if your coach is of that ilk, there's I don't trust there to be great vibes.
Are you saying that she's spending every Sunday at Predator Pat's open mat?
Yes, exactly.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I actually didn't even know what you're referring to, TB. So I guess I'm a little in the dark there.
she's married to some old sketchy guy, and that's when she changed her name, and that's when she became the queen instead of the queen of violence. That's when she lost all of what made her great in the octagon. She just doesn't. She don't have the juice anymore.
I mean, listen, can't we call a spade though? She loses to Jasmine Jasudavicius, who's top 5, and Karine Silva, who's on her way. Is she really washed? Does she really have no chance in this fight at plus 410? I just don't get it. I really we've already seen Wang Kong get submitted by a kickboxer in Gabriela Fernandez.
Well, no. She got nearly knocked out.
But she still smells bad.
Yeah, but it's the fact of the matter is she got caught. It was a puncher's chance type of thing. She's like minus 1,000 live. She gets hurt first.
I know. I was there.
But it's not the wrestling and the grappling.
My buddy Larry live put I forget how much he put. He might have put a $200 live or something to win $20 and he was being a fucking jerk off. I was like, don't do that. And then we watched her get knocked out. It was hilarious. I've never seen something like that. It was really funny. But I don't know. Casey O'Neill, Melissa Gatto, JJ Aldridge, these are still better competitors than Wang Kong has fought. I'm not doing it. I am not doing it. You can't make it.
Daniel?
I think Ariana, the Lip Queen de Silva, is live, but I'm not going to pick her a player. I'm going to pick Wang Song, which, by the way, I know everyone's tired of the Joker gimmick, but how funny would it be if I think she should come out as the Terrifier. You guys see Terrifier?
No.
It'd be hilarious if Wang Song was the next Terrifier. That's probably pretty funny to anybody who's seen the Terrifier movies, picturing Wang Song as the Terrifier. Pretty hilarious.
Are you sure? Are you sure I can't interest you in De Silva by submission at plus 1,600? Are you sure? Are you sure?
If I had extra change in Grandma's couch cushion, which, by the way, I looked up Digging Grandma's Couch Cushion, and it looks like an adult film in 2008. You guys are sick. But you guys are gross, man.
They're on to us.
They're on to us. But I wouldn't even. I definitely wouldn't reach in there. But yeah, I wouldn't. I have a hard time throwing the change. But you could throw your change in worse places. To your point.
I'm sure I have.
Yeah, me too, buddy. Me too.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I get it though. I get it. I'm not gonna parlay the Joker because the joke.
I don't even want any part of her.
That's what I'm saying. The joke's on you.
What is she gonna do? Again, Jasmine lays on top of her for 10 minutes and then gets a Darce choke round 3. The worst loss is the Priscilla Cachoeira fight, but that girl cracks. And I know, I don't know. I think Priscilla Cachoeira is better than Wang Kong.
No, I don't.
All right.
I don't.
That probably not wrestling wise in that regard.
No, I think you're underrating her based off of a fluke finish loss. But I feel you though. I'll pick her to win for sure. We've got Jekka Sawed-Off Saragi versus Jusang Yu the Tiger. Or the Star of David, Jusang. Well, you guys heard of Jusang before. We've been singing all show. Versus the sawed-off Jekka Saragi. This guy's just unhinged. This is going to be an absolute all-out banger. This is just all action from the second it starts. Saragi's going to be doing some crazy shit. The Jew is going to be out there just fucking getting after it. And I don't think anybody's got defense in this fight, but I do think that Jew is a way better prospect. I think
how is Jew gonna go out there and get after it exactly?
Well, so what I think is he's a very good counter striker, but he doesn't have good defense. So the second you start feeling comfortable, he explodes.
So you're saying he cashes in on his opportunities?
I would say he's got his eyes on the gold.
Jesus Christ.
Oh
no.
So anyways, Jekka Saragi's about to be 1-3 and cut from the UFC, barring a puncher's chance type of finish.
Don't
I do
let
think
Dave
that
Portnoy hear you.
listen,
Yeah.
he can come after me. This is Jew on Jew crime right now.
Dude, TV's got like a 5-inch height and reach on Dave Portnoy.
I feel
Yeah,
like losing
just
to
saying.
Jubilee is like unforgivable at the end of the day.
It's not good. And Saragi, he needs to get a one-punch knockout. If not, he's just gonna make the Jew angry and he's gonna respond.
Dude,
He's gonna sue him.
So I grew up with my buddy, a Korean friend of mine, and we used to get drunk in his garage off of his parents' Korean liquor stash, and it was this stuff called soju, right? Soju. Koreans know what soju is, and he used to always ask me. He used to always ask me if I wanted to get Jewed up. That's what he used to refer to it as. Jewed up. And I'm like, come on. So is Jekka getting Jewed up? That's what I gotta know. Is he getting Jewed up? He's getting Jewed up.
Jewed up that Saturday with the Jews in attendance. Let's go.
The time to fade the Jew is coming, but it's not here.
Yeah, I agree.
By the way, Sadov makes the guy sound like he's a eunuch. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, oh no.
I feel like he's a shot-off shotgun because he's crazy. You don't know where he's going.
No, he's not a shotgun.
Yeah, all right,
now I'm curious. I want to know who the first eunuch fighter in the UFC. Have they already competed? Have they already competed? Who knows?
Matt Barry. Sorry.
And what is Jekka Saragi's nickname on Tapology mean? Si Tedang Gang Maut.
It means sawed off.
Yeah.
What are you at Ellis Island?
It's like this. I want to quote an old movie. It says, "I don't know how I got the nickname. All I know is it was painful."
Oh god. So I'm assuming the same story goes for Yanal Ashmuz, the Red Fox.
No.
I don't know how he got his name, but it's painful. Oh no, I put the line in the wrong place. Quillen Squidward Sal killed is actually minus 550.
Why is he Squidward?
Because Sal killed Squidward. I don't know. And we also had Patrick Starr on the card earlier, so it only made sense.
Where's Patrick Starr?
Patchy Mix. He's Patrick Mix. So he's Patrick Starr.
Did you write Starr as his nickname?
No, I said it though, but you don't listen.
I did. I wasn't listening to you. Yeah,
it's all right. SpongeBob. But no, we have Squidward this time. So I think ultimately
I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's not bad, right? So Quilly the Squid, I think he comes out here and
we've learned nothing about it. Oh, we've learned nothing about him.
No, it's just he's gonna be high volume, high pace, and then he's got like an absolutely okay. So I completely put them on the wrong sides here. Like Salkild should be on the left. That's why the lines are fucked up, and that's why the red is Salkild, and he's got a 7-inch reach advantage.
Dude,
he's got a 3-inch height.
I'm not doing it. I am not betting Salkild here.
No, but he's gonna win.
I'm not sure. He's the only person that survived. He's the only person that survived like the Chris Duncan experience. Right? I mean, we have not learned. He beat Gage Young, who's terrible.
Yeah.
And he knocks out Jubilee before we get a chance to see what the guy can do. No.
Well, I agree. He's not in the
I think if the fight plays out extended, he's in trouble. And the fight, and like, I think either the over or the money line is wrong.
I like the fight goes.
So then you cannot bet Salkild.
I agree. He's not.
Stop telling me to bet Salkild. I won't do it.
You bet do it. Dan Tom, what do you think?
I think either the over or the money line here is off. Is that is it switched? Is that correct? I thought Salkild was
Yeah, no, that was my bad.
That is absolutely off.
Okay.
I just mean in real life, like in general.
Yeah.
Salkild's minus 500.
Yeah, I agree. One of those is probably off. I have Squirt Salkild finishing Anil Red Wings Ashmuz. Red Wings, because look at that beer. You know he's getting to town there. He doesn't care what time of the month it is. Sorry, Jesus Christ.
Does the clock match the drapes? Is the real question.
Oh Jesus.
Oh Jesus, fire crotch. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go submission. I know Ashmuz had some ground time and perhaps showed some improvements of his own there. I still don't think it's the strength of his game, and I think that his knockout threat is going to force Salkild into more of his submission game. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I thought that's what we were going to get, maybe like around 2 or 3. in his last fight, but then he knocks the guy out and we learned nothing, to your point, which I always hate that regardless of which side you're on. I'm just questioning if I want to put the only thing I might do is I might put South killed submission in a round robin for a fifth leg there. Maybe that's about it. Otherwise, I'll be picking South killed and staying away.
That makes a lot of sense to me. You also might get a live betting opportunity. Salkill doesn't have the best defense, but I think he's going to outwork him down the stretch. So we're looking like the beautiful mark typically for a gigantic favorite if they're not going to lose the fight. Usually like the minus 160 mark, maybe sometimes minus 145, minus 130. But a lot of times you don't ever see it flip to a full dog price. So make sure you're paying attention. And when it hits that mark, if you think he's not fully out of it, that's where you want to jump in. All right, so we made it. We've got Markel Mamba Medeiros, minus 205.
That's a made-up nickname.
It is.
Why Mamba?
Alliteration.
Terrible.
He also has slick feet. He moves quickly. Strikes like a Mamba. Versus also, we got a shark versus a snake here. We got Mark the Shark Choinsky. And I feel like
a Mamba is not a. Oh, I guess it is. I was thinking.
Shout out to Dan Tom when he comes back, because this is like the Saturday Night Jewish Fight League with Mark Choinsky.
He's not
Saturday night.
Fantasy Jewish Fight League.
Yeah.
This Saturday on Shabbos. Sorry. Fantasy Jewish. Is he? Does he? I almost thought his name was Noam Chomsky for a second. I thought Noam Chomsky was like, I was like, is that guy still alive?
It's a great question. But we're going to find out if Choinsky will still be alive after the Mamba gets done with him. I think it was really poor to watch his last regional fight, defending the title, 7-6 guy. I know he'd faced like Sadiq Yusuf. He had lost to a few other really good fighters, this guy. But it's like on the feet, Choinsky is like, I don't love it. I'm getting hit. All right, I'm going to go for a trip. And like, that was like the easiest takedown I've ever seen someone give up. And to that point, he cuts through the guard. He gets to mount. The guy goes to scramble. He takes the back. He ends up getting the rear naked within the next like 45 seconds from that point. So when you watch Austin Hubbard have the success that he has on the ground versus Markel Medeiros, you're like, all right, well, I can see the vision. Choinsky comes in here. Maybe he can get the grappling going. I don't think he's going to survive the initial barrage on the feet. And if he does, I think he's going to be too hurt to implement the type of takedowns that he's going to need here. He's coming out of Rufus Sports, so I do think he's with a good gym. I don't think he's necessarily a bad fighter. I just think he's dependent on the wrestling and the grappling here. And the type of striking that he has shown me on the regional, I think it's based on the competition that he's able to have success with it to that regard. I think Medeiros is clearly going to be like, he's going to have the lateral movement. He's going to have the kicks. He's going to have the counter speed. So unless Choinsky's getting in on the takedowns, I don't love it for him.
This is the exact same fight as the Hubbard fight, except Choinsky is not as good or experienced as Hubbard. I really think it's that simple. It's the exact same fight.
And it's short notice.
So if you're I actually do like Medeiros here. Money line. I don't really necessarily want to. I'd parlay him maybe. I don't want to get involved from a prop perspective. But if I was, it's going to be on the other side with a grandma's couch cushion. I'm going Choinsky round 1 sub. It's his win condition.
It is. Daniel?
Yeah, I was going to say if you are not picking, but if you are, God forbid, playing this fight, like, it's kind of similar to that, like the Silva sprinkle that Guru mentioned. You look for the round 1 sub here and see what that number is for Choinsky, because that's like his win condition. And it plays into the narrative as far as like Medeiros, how, you want to get the jump on him. He's, maybe coming off an illness still, having to travel, all that stuff. So I'm actually might lean toward Choinsky and Toutmaster, and maybe as just a pick to get a dog on the board. Because, you always want at least 2 or 3 dog picks on average per card. Not that that's a written rule. Obviously it's not, but, struggling for dogs in this card. So for that reason alone, I'm sympathetic to Choinsky's chances here.
Plus 1,300 on the round 1 sub.
Woo!
That's pretty sick. I think Grandma's getting another call. We're going to need to go digging again. Because we could cash a plus 1,300 to kick off the card. Woo! Man,
that sounds great.
All right, guys. It's been absolutely real. Yo, shout out to our guy, Dan Tom, short notice, absolute legend, killing his newest, most greatest opportunity on the Dogger Pass podcast. So
Really doing
shout
a
out
great
to a
job.
guy that, like, I don't know, one of our inspirations and people that we followed before we started doing this show. And to
Facts.
have one of those guys on and
On the-
like to
on the line.
genuinely such a good person behind the scenes too. So like any haters out there, like you guys are, I don't know, you should look
You
at
guys are
yourself in the
haters.
mirror. Yeah, look at yourself in the mirror. That's all I'd say. So it's been a pleasure as always. But before we pass it off to the guru to give us the proper send off, Dan, what do you got to say for the people? Where can they find you?
Oh, way too kind, guys. But no one has to like me. But you gotta respect. You don't gotta respect me either. Actually, forget it. But you guys are way too kind to me than you need to be honest. So, but thank you for that. Yeah, just super grateful. We're taking over another show, especially when you're all still friends with people. Like I'm still all good with like Paul and Cody and all them. So it's just cool to have a place to talk. This is a place that I like to go to listen to you guys talk. So please support this channel. Like my guys, Guru TB Scouting, give them a follow on Twitter, please. But yeah, if you're on there, the artist formerly known as Twitter, you can find me at Dan Tom MMA on all social platforms. Gonna update my Substack finally. Get my picks and plays locked in on there before I post them on fight day. And dude, thank you guys so much. Just honestly, genuinely being able to talk to some of the few people who I consider friends, even though I haven't met you guys. Like, this is so awesome. Thank you guys for having me on your show.
One day, brother, we will.
We will definitely share some beverages and watch some fights one day in the future. That will happen.
Shout out to your chat too. You have a great chat, by the way. I didn't get active.
Chat's
Thank
been
you guys.
popping
Much
off
love,
great
guys.
today. Honestly, I think that had a lot to do with you. We get a lot of the old Protect Your Neck crew in here. Definitely thank you, Dan, for coming in on short notice. Thanks for being our friend. Thanks for being such an awesome guy, giving us your analysis and everything else that you do. Guys, make sure you're checking out Dan Tom. He gives unbelievable. He works so hard. And there's very few people that actually write breakdowns physically these days anymore. It's just here, like you get lazy people like us that just want to give you video breakdowns and shoot the shit. He works really hard on those breakdowns, guys. So go read them and go make some money. Make sure you're following my awesome co-host, TB Scouting MMA, over on Twitter, Instagram, Picket, Tapology, and Bet MMA. And you can follow me, the Guru Scouting MMA, over on Twitter, Picket, Verdict, Instagram, Tapology, and Bet MMA. Guys, we're going to be live, boots on ground, Prudential Center. I'm going to be there early, so come say hi if you see me.
Hell yeah. We'll see you there.
Woo!